Alrighty, I'm just going to jump right in. No intro because I'm going from refreshing thoughts and calling the channel Criss Fresh Collects now. I'll get into that in another episode, but I'm here to talk the Masters of the Universe trailer. I'm here to talk He-Man, and who doesn't want to talk He-Man? Um, this is going to be a little different. I'm not going to play the trailer that I assume anybody watching this has seen. In fact, if you haven't watched it, what are you doing? Go see this trailer and then pretend like I'm reacting to it and everything like that. Because I'll be honest with you, I've watched it heaps. I've reacted to it heaps. Nothing beat my initial reaction. Wasn't captured on film. But I want to give my thoughts of where I'm at with this trailer. And before I sort of get to that, I have to tell a bit of a story. I apologize for the grainy photo. That's how it was in the 80s. But I loved Masters of the Universe growing up. And the toys, the cartoon, it all meant a lot to me. And the 1987 Masters of the Universe movie is talked about ad nauseum by everybody. Some hate it, some love it. I'm very nostalgic for it. But it was my first cinema heartbreak. As a kid, you're pretty optimistic about everything you see. In fact, I'm pretty sure every movie I saw in the cinema, I was probably like, yeah, that was my favorite movie. But when I saw Masters of the Universe, I have this strong feeling of being disappointed that it wasn't what I was hoping it would be or what I imagined it would be. And it was a weird feeling. And then a year or so later, whenever it came out on VHS here in Australia, Fountain Flicks Video at Northland Shopping Centre in Preston, Victoria, was my local video store. And they had a thing up saying that He-Man was going to be appearing. And my father was, do you want to go meet He-Man? I'm like, I'll go meet He-Man. And I got there. And, this movie, which wasn't my favorite thing, at least I get to meet He-Man. Now, I don't know if I thought Dolph Lundgren was going to be there or what the story was, but I get there and there's this dude. He's like in a Thunder Punch He-Man suit. He's got like a crappy golden sort of wooden sword almost. I don't know what type of sword it was. And you can see the look of disappointment on my face as I'm holding aloft this not so magical sword. And He-Man's just looking pretty happy with it. And I tell that story in the context of the anticipation for nearly 40 years of waiting for another crack at a He-Man movie. Now, we've seen He-Man cartoons. We've seen multiple He-Man toy lines. But that holy grail of a movie has been a discussion point amongst He-Man nerds, like which I am, for decades. And there's always been that strong debate of, is it going to be fun and goofy like the cartoon, or do we want to be serious like Lord of the Rings or 300 or Gladiator even? Like what type of movie is Masters of the Universe going to be if it finally gets made? And then it sort of became the Chinese democracy of movies. If you don't know that, it's a reference to my favorite band, Guns N' Roses, and their album, which took 20 years to sort of make and come out. This Master of the Universe movie has been talked about for a long time. Different people have, Goya was attached, the Nee brothers, now Travis Knight. So like it's had quite the journey. And then, we've seen castings like Noah Centineo, I think that's his name. He's playing Ken in a Street Fighter movie. He was cast, it was announced he was going to be Adam and He-Man, and then it doesn't happen. We've seen sort of a picture of Battle Cat, and then that didn't happen. So, like, there's been many false starts, and most of us have adopted the thing of believe it when I'm sitting in a cinema or believe it when I see a trailer. And I think it's pretty safe to say the He-Man movie's happening and it's going to come out. It's not a Batgirl situation where they've locked the movie away. This movie is coming out. They're excited about it. They've put a lot of money into it. And I tell you, for me, watching the little teaser yesterday and the trailer today, it was intense and exciting. And that's what you want as a fan is, I always say The Force Awakens. I just talked about Star Wars on a recent episode of my channel. I talked about Star Wars, but the best part of the sequel trilogy was the lead up to The Force Awakens and the journey and the excitement of this is coming out. And I've seen a lot of responses from my friends are they're guarded and trepidatious about this He-Man movie because they don't want the heartbreak that many of us obviously felt in the cinema in 1987. And the the thing I'm going to say to them is this trailer that came out today, in my opinion, was really cool. And let's go on the journey. Let's go on the ride. Let's get excited. Let's get some of the early preview toys. Let's get a poster. Let's get a t-shirt. Let's get excited. Like, let's enjoy it. And if the movie isn't everything that we want it to be, so be it. But I think for me, as long as it's okay, that's going to be a pass. As long as it's not terrible. And from what we've seen of this trailer, I don't think it's going to be terrible. I am not angry about Kristen Wiig being Roboto. I'm not angry about the awesome Idris Elba being Man-at-Arms. Who cares what color Man-at-Arms is? There's a giant cat, a giant tiger that's going to talk. You know, he says, Adam says, I come from a place where there's giant talking tigers. You know, like, if anything, I wanted to see Orko. You know, like, we're going to get something really cool. So I'm going to sort of talk about some of the images that caught my eye. And the first one I have to talk about was this. I got genuine chills when he went for it. And in the trailer, they do the I have the power. Like, as a He-Man fan, we saw a version of this in the 80s movie, but not this. This is beautiful. Like, look at it. I got goosebumps. Like, seriously, I got, maybe it's old age, I got a bit glassy-eyed. Like, I was so emotional and so excited to finally feel this. It was incredible. You know, this image that so many people have so many strong opinions about, you know, Teela is beautiful. Look at Cringer. Man-at-Arms, like, looks awesome. Like, Roboto, I think some of that armor is gonna come off, but, you know, Roboto should be big and bulky. Like, Eternia looks beautiful. Like, Adam looks like Adam. Like, I don't know sort of what people want. Like, I'm Prince Adam. I think the thing where I think He-Man's a little bit damned if you do and damned if you don't is I've watched a few reactions, and the takes I've heard are, you know, when Adam's in the toy store and he's trying to grab the sword of power, and, you know, you hear that clumsy voice of, don't worry, I've got this sort of, I do this all the time sort of thing. People were going, oh, it's too funny. I don't like that. It's, you know, warning signs. This movie is going to be goofy and funny. And, you know, I want serious. And then I've heard other people go, oh, this movie looks a bit too serious or too much like a Marvel movie. But what I took from that is Adam, the Prince Adam I know, is a bit of an idiot, you know, whether he's putting it on or whether he is. You know, he's a little bit goofy. And I thought in that moment, it felt like Prince Adam. It felt like something he'd do. And Cringer would be going, oh, Adam, what are you doing? And Orko would be dropping pancakes on Duncan's head or something. You know, like, it felt authentic to me. And He-Man needs to serve many masters. It needs to be funny. It needs to be magical. It needs to be action-packed. And I felt, to me, in the trailer, they gave us all of that. Like, you know, look at this. Like, I've heard some people go, Castle Grayskull doesn't look good. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that shot alone is amazing. You know, Teela's an attractive lady. But I can see this. I don't have a clicker to sort of point on the image, but it's interesting to see this red that's on Castle Grayskull and sort of around, almost like Eternia has been infected. I don't know. Like, maybe that's just how it is, and it's like weird red plant moss sort of stuff. But yeah, I did find that interesting. But how cool are all these giant statues of, they're almost like gods that we're seeing? But if you told me just showed me this still shot and said, "Oh, this is gonna be the new He-Man movie," I'd be going, "They've done it." Um, like, that is so cool, and if you didn't think that was gonna be exciting, look at this. Get a face mask and a harness on this guy. Like, that is so cool, and he's gonna talk. They address it. They say these creatures talk where Adam comes from. Like, we're getting Battle Cat, okay? Like, this movie may not be perfect, but they're trying to give us fans like, we're never happy. But ultimately, what we really want is to be serviced. And it's like, service me, baby, service me. And that is amazing. Like, Dirty Uncle Mitch and Geek Dudes would be very excited for that shot alone. Um, Now I'm going to refer to he-mania.com. Great website for He-Man news and information. I go there. They've also got a YouTube channel and a podcast. I recommend it, but they grabbed some images that were a bit harder to see. And you can see Mechanic, you can see Ram Man, you can see Trapjaw, and you can see the Sorceress. And like, cool. Like, Trapjaw is one of my guys. Like, we're seeing we're seeing stuff that as I was growing up and talking to fellow He-Man fans, this is stuff that we could only dream that we were going to see in a movie. Like, think of Karg and Blade and Sword, and even if you go to Ninja Turtles, Tokka and Rezar, and you're thinking, why couldn't it be Bebop and Rocksteady? And you'd see Blade and Karg, and you'd be going, why couldn't it be Trapjaw? Why couldn't it be Triclops? And look at this. Look at this. So we've got even more here. Goatman, Spikeor, Beastman looks amazing. Evil Lynn, Alison Brie is going to be incredible. Like, this isn't just Travis Knight, who's doing this, did Bumblebee, which was the best Transformers movie. And we got a bit of Cybertron at the start, and you were like, more of that. And the end of the movie, you see Prime, how you've always wanted to see him. And Travis Knight was a fan. And I sort of view this movie of, what if it's like the Master of the Universe movie from the 80s in reverse, where there's a little bit of Earth at the start and then a lot of Eternia. And that's what I think we're going to get. I don't think they're foolish enough to leave us on Earth for a huge amount of time and only give us like 20 minutes of Eternia. I think we're going to get a lot of Eternia. And this is just amazing. I, I everything I have seen is leading me to go rad. Like, people are skeptical, going, it's too much like a Marvel movie. And I guess a bit of Marvel fatigue out there. It's superhero, it's this and that. We don't really know what it is from a 2-minute trailer. But what we have seen are a lot of characters and sceneries and ships and locations that, as fans, we've been waiting a long time to see. And if they can put it in a pretty heartwarming, good, coherent, kick-ass story, then we win. Is Master of the Universe going to win an Oscar? No. But are we going to walk out of there and go, I wouldn't mind getting some toys from the movie? Then it's done its job. Like, that would be rad. But I have to address the elephant in the room, and they did a masterful job, no pun intended, of hiding Jared Leto. I'm not a fan of a Jared Leto casting. I think he's a fine actor, but he brings a lot of baggage that the movie doesn't need because it's already got people wanting to pounce on it. But Skeletor looked fantastic. And I actually think Jared Leto is going to do a good job. Just don't put him on the media trail, But Skeletor looks amazing. Look at the Havoc stuff. Frank Langella's Skeletor in the 80s movie is one of the best parts about that movie. And I kept wondering, what voice is Skeletor going to have? Because they only showed a serious Skeletor in the trailer, but I think we're going to get personality from Skelly, old Boneface, in the movie. And I keep thinking of that weird clip of Jared Leto of the Joker as the Joker when he's going, eh, eh, eh. And it's sort of like, it's kind of Skeletor-esque in a way. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, from the Suicide Squad? Like, we've mocked it forever on Geek Dudes. But I'd kind of be okay with it if he went Oppenheimer-esque. Oppenheimer, Alan Oppenheimer, is that his name? It is. Yeah, and sort of channeled that Evelyn, that I'm not gonna do a good Skeletor voice, but that voice. But everything we're seeing is what we've waited such a long time for. Um, and of course, how cool is the poster? Who doesn't want that or will witness how he became He-Man? So I guess, it's gonna be Adam's journey. And, I've heard a lot of people go, "Well, I don't have time to wait for him to become He-Man." It's like, I do if this makes so much money that we're gonna get multiple He-Man movies. But I don't think you have to worry too much. I don't think he's gonna resist the journey. It's just how does he get there? How does he get the sword? How does he channel the power of the sword? Is there something got wrong with Grayskull where maybe the sword can't draw on the power? Like, who knows? Clearly, if um, Queen Marlena has sent Adam to Earth to protect him, Skeletor and the Evil Warriors have taken over Eternia. There's no mention of Randor. I don't know if King Randor's dead, if he's been captured. Um, no references to the Horde or Shira. Maybe mid-credit scene. We don't want to introduce too much. I don't know. I'd go crazy for that. Especially if you know what I'm going to name my baby. But yeah, it's yes, Hordak. No, I'm joking. There's so many things as a He-Man fan to look forward to. Now's not the time to be a cynic. If you see it and don't like it, give your honest opinions, go for it. But don't deny yourself the fun of the journey because that's what it's about. I keep telling you, the best part of going to see The Force Awakens was the build up to The Force Awakens, the Empire magazine cover, the toys, the posters for sneak peeks, the excitement, the midnight screening, like that was the best part. The movie was fun, but the sequel trilogy didn't land where it needed to land. Blah blah. We could get into a whole discourse about that, but not about the journey. Nobody can dispute the journey. Same people went on the journey with the Phantom Menace. They may not have loved the Phantom Menace. I personally don't mind it, but the journey was fun for everyone. I'm just saying now's not the time to deny ourselves the journey. We've waited too long, so long. Join me on the journey to the Masters of the Universe movie. Join me on the journey to Eternia. June 5th. It's going to be a good time getting there. Let's get excited. Let's not tear each other down. Let's not do ridiculous posts about pronouns when he's called He-Man. Let's not get angry about gender and race in a movie where there's a dude with spikes coming out of him and a giant talking tiger. Let's not get caught up in that. Let's put our geeky arms around each other and go, something that we thought we'd never actually get to see is happening, and this is really rad. Because that's what this is all about. This is really cool. I'm excited. I'm not a shill. I wasn't sent an early preview. I haven't been sent high-res images of the trailer. I'm just a He-Man fan that's looking forward to seeing the Masters of the Universe movie. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Click like on the video, share it if you like it. There's going to be a lot more coming from Criss Fresh Collects. I'm driven. I'm going to be talking a lot of toys. Going to be talking a lot of He-Man. So yeah, really cool. And I'll speak to you in a little